Let me down easy, for your love for me is gone. Let me down easy, since you feel to stay here alone. I know it's all over, but the last goodbye. Let me down easy. 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 though your love for me is gone, let me down easy. Since you feel to stay here alone, I know it's all over, but the last goodbye. Oh, let me down easy. 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 Let me down easy.
I stopped the stream by accident. Ah, okay, what's up, guys? Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear today. I may have stopped the stream by accident. I don't know if it stopped it or not. Y'all let me know if you can hear me loud and clear here. Yes. Oh, perfect. Sweet. All right, let's get into the markets right now. We're gonna just dive right in there. Here we go. Okay, so we got this all set. Here it is. Okay, so we're about, give or take, 15 minutes after CPI over here. CPI right now did a pretty big mitigation of this zone right here. We had a nice little sweep to the upside a few hours ago, about 3 hours ago, give or take. So once we got this over here, once we got this move, this is where I was looking to short from. I was working out this morning and just kind of getting ready and everything, so I wasn't able to be fully set up to take this position here live with you guys. But since I know so many of you have been plugging in here day after day, ¿se escucha muy bajo? It sounds low? Really? Okay. Hold on. Okay, that should be better. So, Hernan, creo que eres tú más que todo. Marked it up and everything, but still missed it. How did you miss it? Like, what happened? What's up, Joe, Corey, Omar, Rodriguez, Seth, Fabricio, Friso, Sen, Puccini, Jere, Edgar, Linda, what's up, Gisla, Lonzo, Rodrigo, Brandon, Harold, Moving, Wicks. What's up, Gio? What's good, brother? Corey, Justina. All right, cool. Set the alert, but didn't put my pending. Oh, okay, so you weren't up for this one then. You weren't like manually ready for this, or just were doing other things. It seems like I'm still in the sell from the upper zone from yesterday, so my broker didn't let me take it. Okay. Oh, margin wise. Nice, good stuff. You guys, looks like you guys are running this one pretty well. Yeah, I didn't get triggered into the buy that I wanted from yesterday, so I wanted an entry here. I had it a little bit higher. I wanted a pretty tight zone, so I had my entry right around 42,566. But it looks like you guys were able to take this, and then let me zoom out a little here. Yeah, I wanted it just a little bit higher. As you guys can see, I wanted to play off of this level of resistance. Now, you guys are saying that on your CFDs broker, it looked a lot better. You said it looked pretty nice. So let me see what that looks like on the CFD side. Oh, yeah, okay, I see it. Yeah, on the CFDs, we were way higher up in the pullback. Interesting. Okay, cool. So, yeah, this was reversing at a much higher level. Looks like some resistance from over here. Whereas when we looked at on futures contracts, we were, here was the wick. Here is where I wanted to take it. And then with US 30, I just Dow Jones, and we were taking a look at this over here. Looks like, yeah, it had already triggered in that area, which is fine. So let me just pull up the contracts. Okay, so anyways, to recap or go back to what we were looking at here, overnight we saw a really strong rally, especially with crypto, but with indices, we were going pretty back and forth over here. So we're kind of chopping up, and then as Asian session just played out, we kind of rebalanced over here, not too much going on, and it wasn't until London session where we cleared up a decent amount of this sideways Asian session movement and then came up into this zone. This over here specifically, I still think there's a chance we may even come back up again, maybe into this range. If we zoom in a little bit here, we can see how the market kind of, picked up quite a bit of momentum, came all the way back up to this zone. The only issue I have with this is that as much as it went to the upside, we're kind of seeing liquidity up here. So we can definitely see the market picks up quite a bit of money, pushing the market, creating the Asian session high. And then we see the market work its way back down. So there is a chance we get back up here. Either way, the market's really bullish. So I'm honestly leaning more towards finding a way to get us positioned into some buys. However, what I want to get a bit more from you guys is, how did yesterday's US 30 buys go for everyone here? We were triggered in around the zone. We saw about 100, 215, 210 points up in profit into this, consolidation, into this resistance. Came all the way back to then hit the exit. So depending on how you manage your stop, you may have ended up break even, or you would have hit your total exit on this trade. So curious to hear from you guys here in the chat how you ended up approaching that trade and what was the outcome. Whenever I'm not on these streams, I forget to look at everything apart from gold. And from my understanding, I think I saw, I haven't looked at it yet, but I feel like I briefly saw that gold did the thing. So let me take a quick look. Decent. Okay. All right, we'll get into that later. But yeah, so to go back into here with indices and kind of get a good look at the market overall, we saw a pullback, deep retracement here. Not a lot of like liquidity sweeps or anything too intense. If we go to the 1 minute though, we do see one last sweep before we push. However, if we're talking about Dow Jones and we're comparing it to NASDAQ, we're way more bullish than anything with NAS. NAS is just going crazy. We saw that CPI here, and let me just zoom in so you guys can see it really clearly. CPI is a massive sell-off event. The market then just absolutely rips to the upside, and they kind of just chopped up in here. So we end up coming back to this zone where the CPI pushed price down, and then looks like we're already rejecting this area. So we're already kind of playing out of where the market sold off from and then ended up bullish. From here, we've kind of eased our way back down these last 25 minutes or so. So we're chilling in here. Big chilling. I wouldn't have even really committed towards buying anyways in here, despite us going with the trend, just because we come up and back down so quickly. So I would have wanted a lower entry more than anything. And then that would have been a better setup for us overall. But as we zoom out a little bit, right, let's start zooming out here. Let's get a bit more clarity. We start to see that during London session, we just kind of exponentially start to go to the upside. And this type of movement is usually a liquidity buildup. What's up, guys? Break even? Cool. Break even and re-enter due to price action. Okay, perfect, guys. Perfect. So with NASDAQ, considering how much more bullish it's moving, the big sell-off that we got here when we came back down to rebalance, this is my focus for the buys for today. Today, I think we could kind of get below all of this London and Asian session lows, kind of sweep below all of this, and kind of get back into whether we're going to trade out of this imbalance or we're going to see a sweep below all of this. I think there's a chance we just play out of here and then see a good reaction. But this big sell-off that happened around it was actually during the stream, but we saw it just start to melt through here. When the market came all the way down to here, this is when we were seeing Dow as well start to sweep liquidity and play into this imbalance. So we did see that go down this way, but recent price action is giving us way more signs that NASDAQ is bullish more relative to Dow Jones. So could we see liquidity sweep with New York Open, get below all of this, and then trade into this zone? I think it's a possibility. think it's a big time possibility. What about on Sunday night when there was a gap? Do you think the indices will come back to fill that? Yes. So I know a lot of people get really caught up in gaps and filling them, etc. But the big thing is we want to kind of tackle on one key, I guess, smart money element at a time, whether it's the current structure that you're in and then being aware. So can we get back down to these prices? For sure. For sure. Can we work our way to fill this gap? Absolutely. But does it have to be right now? Not necessarily. So what we want to see is we want to see if the market's going to basically respect the structure that it's in right now. We're constantly seeing whether we're going to get demand above or below. And if we keep seeing strong demand at these levels, then we can keep kind of trading within them. As soon as we see a shift in momentum, let's say we get below this low and we stay below this low, then yes, I think we would probably start to work our way down to fill this imbalance and work our way down to fill these gaps down here. As of now, if we just start assuming that every little dip is going to be the overall trend reversal, then you're going to miss out on a lot. Waiting for the reversal and just kind of jumping the gun, it's going to keep you out of the market a lot, and you're probably going to take more losses than you want to. So we want to kind of just play the structure that we're given. And right now, this makes the most sense with the information that we have. That's NASDAQ. Now, Dow Jones, right now, it rejected out of this zone really well. And I'm curious to see where it gets to, because we definitely do have a stronger bear with Dow than we do with NAS. So this sell-off here, is anybody in this? And I think I asked already. Take it as we go. Yeah, exactly. So if you're in this sell, if you're in this short, I know some of you were eyeing CPI before I went live here. But if you're already in this bad boy, then at least move your entries, your stops to your entries for sure. No reason to be at risk with this anymore. And then I think I'm going to just kind of see how NASDAQ keeps working its way down. At least, get a big sweep with this, maybe into just New York Open, and then go from there. So I know we talked about NZD in Australian, so let's go look at that. Appreciate that for those of you in here. James, Brandon, bringing it up. So we're looking at this here. And before I dive into this, which setup do you all like better, Australian or New Zealand? Which one makes more sense to you guys right now? We're seeing AUD USD pulling back, about to hit the zone. That 71% pullback. And then we see NZD USD working its way back up as well. Very, very similarly, the open is starts a little bit higher though with NZD USD. Hold on, let me just get a little more detail here so we can mark up the zone specifically. Let me get the replay tool here. You can see some of the data. So you see the spike start right there. Here's where the money comes in and just sends it to the upside. What I don't like about this is how we already kind of quickly got it's a drop, come back, and melt again. So this kind of looks like it's already mitigated when you get down to the smallest of time frames, at least with NZD USD. So let me zoom out. And this is kind of where it starts. On the small time frames, we come right back in instantly. So That's NZD USD. That, I'm not liking the fact that it did that. And then Australian. We can look at Australian here as well. Zoom in here to these smaller time frames. Okay. I can just hear my computer is just putting in work right now. This thing is not going to handle this for too much longer. Time for that upgrade, baby. Okay, so from here, now let me log into this account. Okay. We see the Australian on the 5 minute, right? It pumps, comes back down, pumps again, comes back down. And then we kind of don't really get back to these prices. So I do think that we can get a rejection on Australian in this area as well. So let me zoom out. So let's close this out here. Move this over to here. All right, so we're already seeing AUD USD approach these zones. It's within the area where the market could reverse from. And if we're looking at price action right now between AUD USD, NZD USD, if we're looking at these areas, they're both pushing up bullish strongly, like they're making their way to, retrace. They're very similar. Because Australian had a much stronger movement and we haven't even been over here yet, I'm going to wait and see if we can get an entry here as well. So AUD USD, I have a setup here or maybe 10 pips out from the entry. So I'll have an alert if we get a little closer, and that way we can take advantage of the setup if that's going to be the case. All right, so in the meantime, we have this one to focus on. So this will be for today's setup. I'll post that in here. So we got and I'll put these side by side, honestly. Okay. Oh, I thought that sound was my computer, but it's the vacuum in the other room. I was losing it. I was like, dude, how is this thing so loud? Thank God. I was like, yo, what is going on? That's funny. Okay. I was a little concerned. I was like, what the heck just happened? You guys probably can't hear it, but I was confused. It brought me back to like my OG days. I doubt there's anybody on here right now that was like watching me stream in 2018. But I had this old ass computer, like Toshiba, and it sounded like you were just inside of a ventilator. Like it was so loud. But it was just running full speed. All right, so AUD USD versus NZD USD here. Okay, here we go. All right, we'll start with this setup. And then let me throw the NQ setup in here. This idea, I'm feeling conservative entry would be here. There is a good shot that, the market, let's say, for example, if we're going to go like this, it does require a lot more movement because it's a wider stop. It's about 89 points. If you want to keep some ammo and keep your risk management on point, you could either leave some, like let's say trade with less risk, maybe half or whatever you choose, and then have a second entry or second amount of basically risk exposure available if it does go below, and then you want to get an entry in the imbalance. So that's always kind of a technique you could go about using in this example. So I'm going to keep it like this, basically off of CPI for now, conservative idea here. All right, and Q. I'll post this for now, and then we'll go from here. And then for those of you that are in the live here in the community, go ahead and tag everyone. Get them locked in over here. Let them know. Yeah, we're live. All right, so we got the members in here. Let me go ahead and invite you guys. I know there's people here in the stream. If you're not in the community, you're definitely missing out. So let me give you guys the formal invite. Let's see. Now remember, soon, Tuesday through Thursday, we're going to be live only in the community, and then YouTube will be live just Monday and Friday. So make sure you make your way in here so that you don't miss out on all that. What's up, Leon? Let me pin that. So the free community is going to be pinned at the top here in a second. Básicamente, chicos, lo que estoy esperando aquí, ¿con quién está conmigo aquí? Habla español. ¿Dónde está la comunidad? Me está gustando un poquito más la venta con el australiano, con que suba unos 10 puntos. También aquí tengo pendiente neozelandés. Veamos la acción de precio. Y con Nasdaq estoy aquí esperando que el mercado baje para poder entrar en otra posición por aquí. Okay. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Let's go back to one screen. We don't have New York open for another 20 minutes, so I'll get to go through a few different setups here as well. Okay. Now, one of the things that is interesting is if we look at Euro and GBP USD, these are kind of lagging behind quite a bit more. ¿Qué tal, Facu? So you see this push during London session. A little push during London, and then it starts to work its way down. And we compare that to something like NZD, something like AUD USD. Because this move to the upside happened at around 2 a.m. 2 a.m. Central Standard Time on Monday. So this is the first London session of the week. And we don't even really get that here with Euro. So we can go look at Euro futures. It just melted. It just came crashing down. So I'm curious if we end up kind of how this ends up rebalancing and where that leads the rest of the market. Because right now we got NZD pushing higher, Australian pushing higher, not too far away. And my only concern with those sells is, what are we going to do with Euro? Is it Euro that needs to go higher, or is it the dollar in general? Then same thing, you have GBP USD, that from here really shorted. So I'm going to keep my eye on the market. I'm going to see how it's all moving along and see if it makes sense for us to short later on or not. And look, you could take a look at, for example, USD CAD. USD CAD, big sweep to the downside here. Same thing. It was the same moment, but we're nowhere near this at all yet. So I might actually stay out of these Australian and New Zealand setups, because as I look at the rest of these markets, they're holding their structure much better. For example, euro here. It's so much slower on the way up versus NZD versus Australian. It looks like these are just pushing up and up and up. We may end up seeing a break above here, especially just considering how much more euro might want to push higher. So let's see. Let's look at some fundamentals for today. And what do we have later? We have GBP, news event, and Australian tonight. Okay. Tomorrow, Australian as well. So a lot of Australian dollar news this week. So might be a good time to focus on that if you're in Asian session. Let's say that's something you have available. Thursday is going to be a massive one. We're going to be trading PPI, so we'll be live a little early as well. Plus, Powell is going to be speaking, and we get New York open. And then finally, we close the week out with one final round of prelim University of Michigan consumer sentiment. So inflation expectations and all that good stuff. So we do have a lot more going on, but kicking things back on Thursday. So for now, as I'm looking at this and I'm looking at the market, I'm like, you know what? Like the dollar here, if it's going to rebalance a lot more of this, that could just break NZD and AUD USD through to the upside. So kind of going to run this by price action, see how it's responding, and go from there, okay? I like this USD CAD setup in the future here. We can see how we saw this last push down and then how it rallied. It looked pretty good. If we compare USD CAD to something that's its futures counterpart here, what do we see? We'll notice a similar move, cracks a little bit higher, drops, but we're quite a bit away from that, okay? So just comparing it to futures, it's all kind of lining up. Looking at USD CHF, definitely not the same type of movement. The drop happened on Friday, right after New York Open, and then the rally. So we'll keep waiting on this setup here. If you don't have this in your chart markups, then let me put this in front of you so you have the option to mark it up. Once you have this drawn out, drop a CHF in the chat. Make sure you guys are actually, taking action, doing some work, analyzing. So let me just put that right there for you. So the first setup, the one that's closest, the one that I think is still pretty valid, is Friday's drop here, 30 minutes after New York Open. Nice little sweep, continuation. We've been trading bullish up here. And then the other setup is from FOMC. So I have two key zones. This one is can give us a more immediate opportunity. This one might play out tomorrow, might play out for PPI. We'll see, but let me go ahead and copy this over and then add this to the ideas here. All right. Hopefully you guys read the, this is, if you're in the community, this is with the newsletter basically, but I just posted it within the community. So posted that on Sunday. Quite a few of you guys read that, so I know you guys got a lot of good feedback, and for me, just writing it hit a little different. So let's go ahead and pin this one. I could tell everyone's like barely getting up and starting to plug in because of the engagement in here so far, like in the community. Later on, literally within the next hour, it's like 5 times more people are up and running in here. What's up with this? Okay, guys, we're 15 minutes out from New York Open. We've gone through a few currency setups. USD JPY, nothing really setting up so far. Gold continuing its bearish structure. It's just building up so much retail money right here. I think this 3,200 level, I don't know how much longer it's going to hold up in here. It might not have a lot in it left anymore. There is a lot of retail money chilling in there. For now, I'm staying out, so I'm not looking to. For example, I know some people. Not to say it's good or bad, it's just my perspective. We got a big sell-off here during Asian session with gold. Kind of made a nice low, got below the majority of New York session, and then rallied. And then we get a higher high on the 5-minute. From there, we traded above this zone for about 6-7 hours. So I could totally understand people wanting to buy somewhere in this area. I get it. The only thing I'm not, what throws me off and really reduces confidence in a setup like this is just how much retail buyers we have already in this zone, like a month's worth of retail buys. So is it worth taking a position here to catch a little move? Maybe it's a bigger move. Maybe it comes back to fill this gap. Maybe. So you have to ask yourself, is it worth it to you? To take a position maybe here, down there, to see it ride. Maybe it is. But my confirmations are showing us, especially the higher time frame ones, that this setup is vulnerable because of this liquidity. And if we take a look at something like silver, similar movement, but it's been dropping already. So for me, I prefer just having a more textbook setup than kind of forcing it with metals right now. But that's just my preference. If you like the 5-minute setups and you're like, I'm willing to kind of risk it from here, then cool. Yesterday, we had talked about this with crypto. I was like, look, guys, so much sideways movement. Based on how things are going, I don't see, one second. So we're going to take Naz's, hydration time here as a reminder to everybody to drink some water, stay hydrated. Drink water before maybe you get coffee in your system. Okay. Dog's drinking like a MF. For sure. Okay, CHF, cool, you guys got it. We should consider that higher time frame short on YM now that it looks like CFD's already played out of it. Did NAS already react at a March 3rd zone, or is it just shy of hitting the zone? Let me check it out. Liquid morale. They said it sounds like a camel. Okay, so first question. Let me go through this, and then I'll get back to indices because it's going to get interesting here in about 10 minutes. So all this sideways movement, if you get to go back and watch yesterday's live stream, we talked about how the market was good, was moving sideways, easy liquidity, and then so easy sweeping of retail buys. Considering how the higher time frames beyond this, whether it's Sol, Bitcoin, ETH, everything else, I just was looking at this and I'm thinking there's just so much more that we have to go rebalance. Like there's nothing really stopping these levels to create major reversals, especially if we're looking at not just ETH and Sol's market cap, but we're looking at Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, in my opinion, we got the mitigation that we marked up here. This was like here for months. And we saw not just the initial drop from here, but then this was a tiny window. This is a 300 pip window for a short that ends up dropping 5,000 pips. So massive drop off here. And that was because this was the only mitigation area. From here, though, everything else is good up until 107 and change. So I don't know. I just don't really see the market fully shifting directions, at least not too aggressively, until we go to 107.5. And even then, at that point, we might just be going straight to the moon. So right now, as I'm looking at this and I'm looking at, just crypto setups in general, I feel like shorting in this moment is just not really it. So find your spot and bullish buys. I mean, buys if you're trading margin. If not, then yeah, I mean, alts are still in a good place. Okay. So moving past Bitcoin, and then to answer your questions about my thoughts on Dow, looking at how the market's dropped from here, the higher time frame. Thank you, baby. So, okay. So we're looking at this move. We see Dow pump the market massively here, 465 points. So far, we've made a really nice reversal. We've dropped about 350-ish. So we're seeing a big shift in momentum. The question is this done? So as I'm looking at this here, and I'm looking at this here, 350 points. Obviously, that's pretty decent. If the market keeps moving down and we get a little bit further, then I definitely would agree and say, okay, I think we're already fully played out of this zone. Now, this would require us to push down quite a bit more, getting into this imbalance and all that good stuff. And we're not quite there yet. So I'm okay with just waiting this one out, seeing where we get to. If we get beyond, any more to the downside from here. After that, we still have this setup over here, so we can still go a little bit higher. There's still more that can get mitigated, which would be these highs from March, mid-March. We haven't gotten over here yet, so still got a lot more to go. There's other going to be key levels as we work our way there. Either way, this is just kind of giving us a good heads up on where we could expect some reversals. At the end of the day, if we get some clean buy setups, we want to ride those out. But right now, we're just not really getting them yet. Not in like the current price action that we're seeing. So we don't have that with Dow Jones. I think that we can drop a bit further. Probably get below maybe yesterday's New York session. Kind of sweep that before getting some more reversals in. And then the big thing too, and you guys have seen this here over and over again, we've built out some liquidity here with New York, with NASDAQ throughout London session, throughout Asian session. And so getting into yesterday's New York session would make sense. If I had an entry for you guys, I would give it to you. But at the moment, we don't. We already saw this right here mitigate the sell-off. That's what we already saw. So I think we're going to be moving on our way to that. In my opinion, based on the way that this has just slowly moved up, I'm not here to short NAS because I'm already in a Dow short, but we might start off, kind of opening to the downside and then rallying again. For those of you that are involved in, let's say, the German index or the yen, the Nikkei, there's also imbalances and to be filled with both. So there just seems to be more incentive to the downside. So we'll wait this one out. And then looking at just CPI's movement in general, CPI did all this, right? CPI pumped 142 points for Dow. Huge move to the upside. It's dropped under. It didn't give us lower lows yet or anything like that. So we can't go ahead and say, oh, we're going to go and, sell here. At least not for me. I want to wait for confirmation of a structure, and then maybe we can think about shorting in there in the future. So I would want to see something like that. We're 3 minutes out from New York Open. And then same thing with NASDAQ. Huge spike to the upside, down and up. And then right now we're still playing within it, with Dow being more bearish. S&P 500, it didn't really sweep anything, and it just kind of pumped above the highs. So the way we're seeing this, if we want to zoom out, all right, let's kind of zoom out here on indices. We saw S&P clear the highs one more time. So luring out sellers one more time. We saw NASDAQ do the same thing, clear the highs before working its way down. And then Dow Jones, as you see here, we get above. Everything is diverging with Dow. Dow keeps giving us signs that it wants to kind of lose steam here. Got above the highs yesterday towards the end of New York session. There was not enough demand, so the market came back down. We see it happen again during London. Drops again. We see CPI pumps the market up, loses that momentum again. So Dow just doesn't seem to want to stay above and hold above 42,400, which is why we might just see this keep working its way down to at least start today's session. And then maybe once we get into this imbalance over here, right over here, the market loves to target imbalances. The market loves to come back into these areas. Maybe we get over here somewhere. And then that might be enough to set up that NQ, that NASDAQ buy. So kind of like yesterday, but flipped. Yesterday we saw NAS, clear the lows, start to rebalance, and then it started to move on up. Today, NASDAQ's way more bullish. Dow Jones is more bearish, and we might see this clear the lows, and then maybe we see a reversal from there. So that might be the case for today. If that's not, the good thing is we might just see a full flip of just kind of structure with New York Open. This whole thing can just kind of get reset anyways. So we'll go ahead and kind of take it step by step, candle by candle. And we're about 30 seconds out. Let me go ahead and check out the chat. CPI data, highs and lows on the table for indices, especially NQ. CPI data, highs and lows on the table for indices. I don't think I'm fully understanding what you're saying. Do you no longer use that confirmation list that you used to teach? I mean, I'm not showing it to you, but, you can write it down. It's the same thing. In a way. I mean, maybe a different variation. I don't remember how far back you go, Vaughn. It's similar. The only difference, really, is that I use the divergence between correlated assets. So like with Dow Jones and NAS, sometimes one is more bullish, sometimes one is more bearish, and it's like the exact same setup. So when we have moments like that to determine which one do I trade, I'll just trade the one that's kind of slower to get to the zone, etc. Yeah, I'll approach it that way instead. So here we're a little buildup of liquidity. on Dow on the 5-minute here. And then NQ opening way more bearish. So we're seeing NQ start to drop. And now Dow is starting to hold up. So one of the things that you guys you can notice, sometimes this happens, is once New York Open kicks things off, that's when sometimes price action kind of flips. So if we were seeing Dow was more bearish and it was just kind of working its way down faster, let's say that's how it was printing. Then all of a sudden New York Open starts and then things just kind of change up. You know, you have whether it's the reason can be earning reports, it could be whatever. But for example, now, because before we were seeing Dow was dropping first and further, and NQ was holding it up. Now we're seeing, or in that first minute, we saw it drop, NQ drop fast, and then now it's coming back over here. So we're in between both and kind of seeing what they're going to do. Now, rarely, but this does happen. Sometimes there's like certain seasons where it's happening more than others. You'll see indices, they're not moving the same, and they're kind of going in whatever direction that they feel like it. So when they start to just, one goes up, the other one's going down, and they're just kind of moving in whatever direction, then you can actually trade those just individually, like without having to keep everything in mind and, you know, just like it's just like as if they were totally unrelated. So take a look. We're seeing at the moment we saw New York Open push down back into the zone with NQ, spike back up to clear out the last hour worth of highs as well. So we're kind of doing two sides of the coin on NQ. And then with Dow, we started off to the upside, came back down to sweep some of this liquidity here, came back up to rebalance, and then right now we'll just see whatever this thing's going to do. So this is basically going to show us its true colors here in a second. But in terms of confirmations, yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We wait for, one, you want to know structure. So this is from a couple years back, but I'm pretty sure you're talking about this. This list, I think. So you have, it's nice and highlighted here. So we have, basically you want to have awareness and intention, yourself, your goals, how you're going about the market today. From there, I guess this is like your reminder to be more present. From there, you have structure. So what's the structure from higher time frames to lower time frames? So you understand kind of where your exits are, where the momentum's carrying, how much you want to hold the trade or not. And then from there, you're looking for the money, whether it's the retail money or the smart money. So where's liquidity? Where are the institutional, the smart money buys? Where are the smart money sells? So here we had liquidity. Here was a smart money buy. And then you have whether it creates an imbalance or not. The confirmation of a new structure, which we got here when we got a lower low. And this lasted for a few hours. And then the mitigation. This is the zone of interest. So the entry area here. Saw it mitigate. So we were wanting to take entries right there. And then the divergence. So looking at correlated pairs or assets like Dow Jones and NASDAQ, then you can kind of look at both of them. With this trade in particular, NASDAQ was way more bullish. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to take a NASDAQ play instead. Or I'm going to take the Dow Jones play instead because NASDAQ is so bullish. And then, yeah, here we are now. So at the moment, we're getting quite a bit of movement to between these indices. And they're moving in opposite directions. So they're not moving with each other. They're moving away from each other. So when things like this happen, they tend to kind of meet in the middle later on in the day. So right now we're noticing Dow very bearish, working its way down, kind of coming back up and then losing momentum and coming back up and losing momentum. So we just swept this liquidity here, and now it's starting to rocket, whereas NASDAQ sweeps these lows first, and then now it's starting to give us higher highs. So based on how NASDAQ is moving, and how we're seeing this set up, there's a chance that we end up getting a buy opportunity here later. Even though we're trading so high in this range, this was New York Open. New York Open pushed NASDAQ down below all of this. So below all of, give or take, about an hour's worth of New York post-CPI lows. And now it's ripping. So seeing the market move like this, we can gauge that the market sweeps the low, comes back up, actually comes right back down. So this fully rebalances right away from here and then goes up again. So if you look at this, the market comes back to 29.95 right here. This is what we're seeing. So can we get a buy setup on NASDAQ if the market actually relatively holds these highs? I think so. However, in order for it to do this well, we want to make sure that there's enough demand. We don't want this to just be a huge move up, then it comes right back down. We want to make sure that we maintain these highs, that this is a bullish structure. Otherwise, it's not really worth it. So considering how bullish this is going, I'm assuming we're going to see Bitcoin probably hit. I feel like we could see Bitcoin hit highs again today. As long as this kind of holds down the fort. And another thing that you might be noticing is the following. Now, after NASDAQ has kept moving its way up and up and up and up, we saw Dow now kind of get back on the same page. It's like, oh, okay, just kidding. We're all going to go in the same direction now. So now they're kind of back on the same page relatively. We'll kind of keep our eyes on how that's moving. Is NAS near the March 3rd zone for a sell? Okay, let's zoom out. It gets a little tricky when you're looking to short from zones that go way, way, way back, like here, March 3rd. So, for example, especially the smaller the zone is. So we can go look back over here. Here's NASDAQ. And then here was the move. So it looks like we have a sweep of the highs and then a drop. So here is, just to get this, narrow it down, we should be in this zone right now. So let's see the 5 minute here. It starts from right there. So we see the market in the zone. Let me just zoom in a little bit more just to make sure. Yep. So, okay, this is the zone. So is it approaching this area? Yeah, it's in it right now. So let me go ahead, pull this into the present. Okay, so this is the area that you're talking about. Not the problem, but the question is, did we already see the reversal out of this zone? So earlier today, with CPI, we see the market get to this area. It works its way down about 94 points. The move to the upside, though, was just about the same. So the fact that CPI brought us up to here and then lost the momentum, I personally wouldn't short this. to me, it looks like we already got that reversal. So I'm going to just stay put. Not looking to add anything extra to a move like this. For me, I think like considering how close, almost identical the drop was from that higher zone, I think the CPI move was that. So again, just so you guys can see it clearly, the move to the upside was about 90, 96 points or so. The drop we've seen was almost identical, 90, I think like 93 or something. And with my rule, I'm thinking, okay, we're seeing an exchange of money. Now, I could be wrong, and it could sell off from here. But on top of that, NASDAQ is definitely more bullish than Dow even. So if NASDAQ right now is, just pushing, really pushing, then I don't really want to get in the way. I don't want to sell the raging bull, right? So I'm okay with missing out on, even if it's especially because we're talking about just a few points, I'm cool. The setup that makes the most sense to me right now, that I am feeling more and more conviction with, is the NQ play. Right, waiting for the market to, especially if we can just kind of stay trading up here throughout the hour. The longer we can hold price, the more demand we get, the more likely it is that a setup like this can actually play out. So I'll have this setup here. Got our alert here. And then I would look to trade basically right out of this zone. So about 20, a little less than 20 points as a stop on NQ or MNQ, depending on how it's set up. But like I said, we want to make sure that we see some demand here. And then contracts-wise, just do what makes sense for your risk. And then if you guys have questions on, hey, how much should I be risking or what should I be doing, then just let me know. Sell on EU or GU? Nah. Guys, let me do something here. I don't know why I haven't thought about doing this before. But in the community, if you're not in it, the link is at the top. But in the community here, if you want me to look at a chart, just share it in here. I don't know how it took me this long to think about that. So, what's up with this thing? So yeah, if you want me to look at something, drop it in this section, and then we'll go through it. So let me just edit in here. ¿Cuántas horas al día estás en el gráfico? 2 a 3 máximo. All right. There you go. And then I'll be refreshing this throughout this session. Mike Owen sigues en Iovia? No, bro. Loading. I'm not on futures, sorry. The pump is slightly different on standard chart for me rather than futures. Just missed it for me, but I was just asking for your opinion. CPI. Oh, okay. Cool. 3 días solo en la mañana, otras... No, solo en la mañana. Yeah, just in the morning. Me que estás esperando compras en un minuto, solo la que estás más abajo. Sí, quiero ver que el mercado aquí nos presente, que se mantenga, que tengamos demanda en estos precios, que nos dé el alto más alto aquí. Entonces, si podemos mantener aquí estos precios, que nos confirma que sí realmente hay demanda de compradores y de vendedores en estos precios. Si el mercado regresa por acá abajo, probablemente funcione solo como un retroceso, ya que vemos que hay prueba que aquí hay estos precios son buenos para los mercados. All right, Harshi, let's see what you got for me. Will there also be trading mindset lives like before? I'll be doing, so I'm going to be doing a monthly Q&A. And then there will be like video. So I'll be uploading video on the psychology side. And then once the program, like the program that we're going to have here in a bit, the annual program drops, then we'll be doing a massive focus is the psychology side of things. Okay, you got USD/JPY sweep. No, yeah, this looks good. Yeah, Harshi, I like this one. You might even be able to refine your entry in here somewhere, because you see how it kind of here. Let's see if I can zoom in here. You see how it goes, drops, and then it clears it one more time, then falls. So you might actually have a setup in there. But yeah, good stuff. Okay. This is what I saw. What's up, Eric? We got Connecticut in the house. Okay, so you see this nice push on Euro, and then same thing with GU. So I was looking at Euro and GBP as well. So we're looking at both. GBP, I like the sweep because it very clearly sweeps highs. We don't see any other sign of liquidity except for, and then I think this is still important, but we are seeing a bit of retail selling here, 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 here. So is this kind of building up some positions in this zone? So maybe want to stay mindful of this. We'll kind of see where this goes because it could easily crack through that. And then with Euro, as you were pointing out here, I believe this area. Yep. So if we look at Euro USD, and we just kind of zoom in some more and work our way over here. So here's the high for Euro. So we want to ask ourselves, is this vulnerable, or is this a good liquidity sweep and the market can just kind of play out of this zone? And honestly, I think it clears everything. It's not too much. I don't really see it as liquidity. So you just might get a reversal out of this area. Unlike Australia and New Zealand, this didn't spike up. This just melted down. Like here was that news event, and it just like all just died. So yeah, this might be exactly where we get kind of that shift in momentum. So GU sweeps more for me on these two. So why does that matter? Sweeping more or less. I'm generally curious. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything. Like I just want to know what that means for you. Does that mean more buys come into the market? It's a bigger zone, so that more money can come out of the market. Is that more important than let's say the divergence? So we were looking at Euro and we're looking at GU. So let's say we're just going to take a look at how this is moving along. Because you're right, I agree. GU does sweep more. So GU below 618 right now, just below. And then you have Euro that's below the 50% level. So what matters more? The divergence or how it sweeps the liquidity? I'm just out of curiosity. Yeah, I take it as more buyers coming to the market, but again, just asking your opinion. Cool. I honestly, in this moment, I lean more on the divergence than I do the intensity of the liquidity capture. Either way, though, it's worth back testing. So if you go ahead I would love it. I would love to see the back testing. So if you want to go through and kind of, and this is such a nuanced, like, specific example, but if you can find a lot of setups like this where, you know, like, okay, well, they both kind of sweep the liquidity. One sweeps it more than the other. Which one's more valid? If you can kind of, you know, get a good sample size, then we'll have a much more concrete answer. In my experience, trading the pair or the asset that is diverging, that's worked a bit better. So, yeah, that's worked better for me. Okay, NAS continuing to rise. So this is giving us more and more confirmation for a buy later on. And let's go take a look at Dow. How's Dow moving? And Dow's chilling. Dow doesn't care. Dow doesn't really care at all. Barely doing anything here. So if we're going to get a short, we might get it here. So, for example, this was an area I wanted to see. To me, it looked like, okay, we kind of get a big move out of this zone. But is it worth... What is the spirulina? Sweet. Look how sick this drink looks. This is how we hit the TP. It's not anything. It's just the supplements. Buy my spirulina, guys. Get rich. Buy the blue drink. It's a magical potion. If you drink the blue, you're always trading the blue. Okay. So we have this here, right? We have this move. Nice sweep to the upside. The only thing I'm concerned about for a short here, because this already happened, so I think if I just like lose all of my skill with this, I'm just going to dedicate my life to making infomercials. Where's the Saratoga water and bananas? Oh, we're going, trust. We'll ride the wave too. Don't you worry. So these highs, I honestly feel like this is still valid though, because we don't really get equal highs. We do pump up to this area, but I think it's enough of a differentiation for us to be able to short if we do get all the way up to here. Especially considering that we kind of held it down pretty well over here. Now, I got stop profited out with when the market pumped up to here right now. And then, of course, it decided to crash from there. Fortnite chug jug. I never really got into Fortnite, but I'm sure that's something. Johnny, can you be my pop culture check here? What does that mean?
It's a big-ass fucking jug that you drink like this.
And what does it give you?
100 health.
100 health? Oh, shit.
It gives you everything.
I'm lit. Let's do it. Fortnite chug jug. Let's get them. Anybody got a plug? Let's get the sponsorship. Fortnite shield potion type shit. Okay, yeah, y'all. That's where y'all are at. Okay, Mike is Unk. Sponsor incorporated. Hey, whoever locks it in, let me know. I got a deal for you if you got a deal for me. Do we pass 300 right now? 21.3, is that what you're saying? Is that what you're asking me? 200 points? Oh, you're ambitious right now. Can we get... I mean, actually, I could see it. we're pretty efficient over here. We might have a straight send to Valhalla. Yeah, we could get here. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But we might chop our way back up. I wouldn't count on it. Like I'm not going to focus too much on getting up to there. And but if we do get another setup here later on in the day, ideally this setup takes a while. Ideally, you just set your alert, maybe set another one for when it's like, halfway back. And then, going into the next hour, going into the hour after that, the market can just kind of keep pushing. Because the better and the more we can kind of hold the structure, the more likely it is that this trade actually works. If we pass 300, Mike said he'd give me a 500K funded. You remember that, Mike? Am I being gaslit? Am I being gaslit in my own chat? Fake news. Libra dólar para la venta. Esto ya lo vi como unas 7 veces. Entonces, si llegarían a tiempo, if y'all are here on time, I don't have to go over the same chart. Venta. Let me see. 5 minute, 3 minute. Is that what you guys are talking about? Si hay suficiente demanda, podría ser. Si el mercado aquí se mantiene, podrían tener oportunidades de ventas ahí. Con libra dólar, posiblemente. Pero necesitaría que el mercado mantenga esta zona para poder tener esta venta aquí. I'm asked if a GU short makes sense. I would want to see... I don't really trade currencies on the 3 minute or 5 minute like that. I don't trust currencies in the lower time frames nearly as much as I do indices. Entonces, ya, necesitaría mucha más demanda, pero posiblemente se podría dar. All right, so indices on a rampage. Where does that take Dow? Is Dow also pushing? Okay. So the next setup that I have is going to be a short for Dow, but it's going to be over here. So this is what I'm interested in. Let's see if we get there. Okay, so look at the chat. You guys got some here. My eyes on GU. I'm assuming it's pretty similar. The sad face. The sad face is what gets me here. Yeah. It's got a shot. It's got a good chance. So right now, if I were you, and if you like this, this is that Asian session high. So if you like a sell out of the zone, I would start to prepare the contract size or the lot size so that you could take the position. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get this idea set up. You see how we've had a bit of resistance, support, resistance here. This is where I'm going to look to take my sell. So when the market gets, if it gets to here today, I'm going to look for a short right here. And then I'm going to have my stop just slightly above these zones. Give it 40, I'll give it like 45 points. And then the stop or the exit, based on the way we're seeing structure right now, this is counter trend, so I'm not going to get too aggressive with it. Looks like we could probably push this to like a 2.4R. I'm cool with that. And then actually, if I tighten my stop a little bit more, I can get that to a 2.5. So this is good. Yeah. Something like this. And then we're just exiting within the range anyways, so higher probability exits. Look decent. All right, let me add that to this over here. What was this chart? All right, that one, we'll wait for that one for sure. Let me give you guys a follow-up with NQ as well. Because now this one might happen, but just way later. Okay, so we're going to just send that off the radar here. We'll send this way over there as well. And then let's dial in over here. Yeah, NASDAQ, full sending. Full sending right now. Okay. So NQ, 5 minute. No one else has any setups. Cool. And if you're looking at cross pairs with currencies, you guys can let me know too. So. Okay. All those setups are in here now. See, I don't know if I have to refresh to see the rest of these. I don't think I have to. Okay. All right. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for sharing here. You guys are leveling up in here. There will be giveaways based off of contribution too over time. Okay, cool. Let me take a look at some crypto and then metals. 103.6, 103.7 for Bitcoin. So actually pretty choppy during this New York session. Hasn't been nearly as bullish. Bitcoin trading more similarly to Dow than it is trading to NASDAQ on the day. Gold. Someone asked the gold buys, right? So I think I saw Cole or something ask about gold buys. I could see it. I'm not taking it because of higher time frame liquidity. So we've seen all of this. Because of this, I'm chilling. I'd rather not. And as you guys, this is gold futures. So if you look at GC, you'll see gold futures from the commodity exchange. And could it play out? Yeah, it could. If we're solely focused on the 5 minute, we definitely see a sweep to the downside. Starting from here, pulls up again, another one there, and maybe this is the rejection that you wanted right now. So I totally see the 5 minute. Like, that's undisputed, makes sense. Where I don't love is the liquidity right below, and for all we know, this could be the time that the market decides to target the higher time frame position, so it could just bleed through it. So I'm playing a bit more conservative and not taking a position. But if you're like, I'm still down either way, like I'm down to roll the dice on it because I like the trade, then send it. Do your thing. Okay. So as of now, we don't really have too much close to our areas. So what I'll do is this for the next, we'll say maybe 10, 15 minutes. What we'll do is we'll do a psychology Q&A in here. So if you guys are just going through some sort of maybe you're just struggling with a certain element of your trading process, whether maybe not technical, but certain fears, certain emotional triggers, certain impulses that you can't seem to get a hold on, then this will be the time to go ahead and share those. And to be frank, this is probably where you need to put more focus in anyways, and it's probably what you're choosing to ignore anyways. And I can almost guarantee this is where we'll start to see a dip in attendance because you'd rather just look at a chart than look at yourself in the mirror. But anyways, yeah, I'm gonna open it up to that right now, and we can go from there. On gold is cooking a buy. Nice. So like I said, I could see the gold buys. I played it more conservative, so I was chilling. And yeah, I'll give you guys a minute or two here to just drop whatever question or wherever it is that you're at in your journey, and then I'm gonna answer any ideas. So Shahid, little sweep. You kind of got higher highs in here, sorta. Yeah, I don't really trade currencies like this, but it looks like you've had some pretty good trades here. Nice. Yeah, I don't use EMAs or SMAs or anything either, or volume. At least not usually. But I see the setup though. I see your sweep, the continuation. It's not a bad trade. Okay. Okay, so I've been super jaded. So okay, Vaughn asks, and I appreciate you guys being transparent, kind of being cool and willing to do something like this on the stream. So that in itself kind of shows your priority over, I guess, how you're seen, and rather just get the solutions or get closer to where you want to be. So that in itself is just really good progression, guys. But okay, Vaughn says, I've been super jaded after failing in multiple businesses, and I feel like that's affecting my trading since my mental is chalked. What's the next step to change after awareness of this problem for me? So what is the problem exactly? What is being jaded, or how is that influencing your decision making? Is it that you just kind of don't care, and so you're risking kind of whatever you feel like? Or is it that it's kind of pulling away from the desire to show up in general? If you can help me with understanding that, that'll be a lot better. Overall, yeah, that'll be a lot better. So following up on that, I can give you a bit more context. Now, you want to understand two things, though, with the information that I do have. Is the following: is who you were when you were failing businesses doesn't necessarily mean that's who you are with what you're doing right now. It could be. You could still be the same person. That's a reality. But that's a choice, though. So let me go ahead. Let me move this over here. It is a choice. It is a choice if you're going to keep that same identity. So the desire to not show up anymore, the desire to, just think, well, it's probably going to end up like everything else I've ever done. You can make that a fact if you choose to be the same person you've always been. So the first thing I would do is think, with the businesses that I failed, was it the business model? Was it, get specific with why it didn't work? That way it's not just I failed, it's these things failed with the business. Whether it was lead generation, closing, it was demand, it was maybe it just there wasn't demand for it, or you didn't bring in the demand for the business. Was it I didn't show up where I needed to? I wasn't willing to study to learn the craft. I wasn't doing enough hours, or I just had more studying to do and I got ahead of myself. But when you get really specific on why something didn't work, then it's not just I am a failure. It's these elements, these components are the reason I failed. I can change. It's a skill issue, so I can develop these parts of me. I can develop these skill sets. Cool. That isn't now. It's not a guarantee that anything in the future isn't going to work. It's just now perfect. I've now developed this part of me, so the likelihood of something working keeps going higher. Or you can just decide, I am a failure, and then just quit. Harshi asked, what are good methods to detach from the charts? Sometimes I catch myself subconsciously glued to the charts, waiting for setups, and then end up feeling burnt out. So, okay. I mean, just decide. What are you trading? If you're trading indices, then you already saw the setup. The market's not going to just give you a new one right away. It's going to take 30 minutes, an hour for a brand new setup to maybe show up. So you can at least, if you marked something up, and then now that's it. You've marked it up. And there's nothing else to happen. Just get off. Just leave. Like literally shut your computer off. Go. Like leave the environment. If you ever want to make a change, one of the ways to make your life easier is changing your environment. So change your environment first. Like what I do usually is once I'm done here and everything is all set in stone, I'll go for a walk. Go for a walk with Nance, walk the dog. We'll talk about what we're going to do in the day, goals that we have, ideas. But then now I literally can't see the screen. And then I have alerts, so if something happens, cool. I mean, I'll get an alert on my phone. But usually, like, you have time to respond. How has the power of now helped you in trading? Honestly, I'd have to go back to it to give you a quality answer. Because it's been 7 years since I've last read the book. But in the moment, I remember more than anything, I think it was kind of giving me that feeling of absolute responsibility and presence. Obviously, like there's a lot that goes to the book. And I think also just leaning on some sense of, I guess, like higher power, God, and understanding in a different angle, just like that we're spiritual beings here in our physical bodies, and how all this is really, this whole trip is all one very, very magical experience that we're living here. And there's so much beyond our understanding and awareness, which is what makes anything kind of possible. So I think more so just kind of giving that courage to take on something like this, where it's full responsibility, everything you have to take absolute ownership in, for sure. Got some, don't really have to ask a lot anymore. You replied to me yesterday in the community. Yeah, of course, my pleasure. Remember, guys, free community is linked at the top. ¿Cómo haces para esos momentos de frustración cuando ves que trabajas y no hay resultados? Me pongo levemente irritable y afecta a los que me rodean. ¿Cómo gestionar de mejor manera eso? So Gonzalo asked, in the frustrating moments where you're working and you're not getting results, how do you, and you become irritable around your people, like how do you change that? So I'm going to answer in Spanish, then I'm going to answer in English. Gonzalo, básicamente, la razón que nos frustramos cuando nos esforzamos, pasa el tiempo y no hay resultados, es porque estamos pensando con la mentalidad de que dedicarle más tiempo a algo te debe de dar algo. Esto no es un empleo. Esto no es un trabajo. Esto es 100% a base de tu nivel de trabajo, de tu calidad de trabajo, del nivel de disciplina y consistencia. Entonces, desafortunadamente, esto no te paga por participar. Y fortunadamente también. Porque los ingresos de pagos más altos son por tener mucho apalancamiento o por tu nivel de habilidad. Entonces, cuando nos desconectamos completamente de que el tiempo me va a pagar y solo te enfocas en la calidad de trader que soy me va a pagar, no te vas a frustrar porque ya no estás midiendo el tiempo, estás midiendo habilidad. So to answer his question, right, he asked, I get really frustrated when I give this, I'm just giving it so much time and I'm not getting the results and I become irritable and I'm not someone kind of good to be around in those times. And my response is, we get irritated and frustrated because we're not getting the results that we want. because we're focusing on how much time we're putting in. So we're doing everything under the impression that time is supposed to pay you. And it makes sense. We're most of us grow up under the mindset of, the employee mindset. You work per hour or you're on salary or whatever. And this is not that. This is more like being a professional athlete. This is performance-based income. So it's not about how much time, unfortunately and ruthlessly, it doesn't matter how much time you've put into this, and you need to let go of that. It doesn't matter that you put in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It doesn't matter. It's all about how skilled are you in the entirety of it. So not just how well do you look at the charts, it's how well do you execute. What's your ability to manage your own emotions, your own decision making, to reduce the big losses. All of those things are what pay you here. So if you eliminate the belief that the more I put in all this time, and you kind of just get rid of that mindset and you start to disassociate, then you'll get less frustrated because you can focus on, I'm not doing these processes well, that's why I'm not getting paid. So it doesn't matter that I'm taking years. I need to focus not on how much time, I need to focus on the quality of my effort during this time. 100K passed today. Let's go, Cozy Capital. He just came in and just like, hey, what's up? Yeah, passed another account. What's good? Good stuff, bro. Really good stuff. Okay, let's see what other questions you got in here. Vaughn, let me know if that answer helped you earlier, bro. Same thing with you, Harshi. Gonzalo, me deja saber si eso te ayuda. I've been taking many losses in the past couple of weeks. Now when I look for my setup, I'm very hesitant, and the confidence is not there. The trades I take end up being L's, while the trades I don't take are W's. Perfect. Stop not taking trades. Very, very simple. Take them all. Right now, you're not in a place where you should be selective. If you have a setup, just take them all. You want to build confidence with the setup. It doesn't matter if you're making money, if you're winning or you're losing. If in theory you've backtested it and it's supposed to work, then now you need to practice the muscle of execution. So just go and do them all. Just take them. Doesn't matter if you're winning or losing. Just keep taking the trades. Gisla, estoy trabajando ahorita para tener un horario y hacer lo más que pueda. Nora, my recommendation for you would be to go through the my recommendation would be go through the Smart Money Playbook. So if you haven't gone through yet the course in the school, go through that and then you'll see it. So I'll pull it up for you guys here real quick. So for those of you that are kind of getting into the technicals and starting to understand the markets better, this is free. So you just go through here, how to build a professional system, the technical analysis components, the risk management. They're all videos in here, so you guys can just watch these and kind of get that down. These are meant to be, these videos are designed, this is, why isn't this loading? There we go. These are meant to be, to bring you from zero to like solid. Just be super solid. Quality, enough to really get you in the right place. Hey, Mike, Saudi Arabia just announced they're going to invest $600 billion into the U.S. You think fundamentals will take over technicals in this situation? That was announced a couple days ago. And no. US 30 coming into the zone. Okay, let's check it out. Oh, no, I missed it like 3 minutes ago. I think it just tagged it. Wow. There it was. While we were having this little chat, it literally just tapped the zone, cleared those highs, and then just melted through. Dope. Well, there it was, guys. So delete the setup. That was the reversal. It didn't do too much. Like, it didn't go deep enough, so not like I would have been in anyways. But in my opinion, that's the reversal. So let me go ahead and screenshot this. That's what's up, Vaughn. Vaughn, we're meeting up here in Chicago. If you guys are in Chicago, hit me up. We're gonna get together here on Saturday. So shoot me a message if you want to link up. All right, so here is follow-up mitigated. Okay. It's all set in stone there. Yeah, good reaction. It is what it is. New York City meetup. When is it? Whenever there's enough demand. Supply and demand, baby. Supply and demand. Awesome. Bro, ¿cuándo podremos volver a ver la parte psicología? Pronto. Pronto. Estoy trabajando, bro. Solo soy una persona. A ver si alguien aquí me puede ayudar con eso, pero obviamente todos los videos los tengo yo personalmente, entonces es un poco más complicado tener a alguien que me los sube a todo también. But all right, guys, good session. Dow missed our zone that we wanted to hit here a couple minutes ago. It's for CPI. Got a good reaction off of my area. Did about, I think, like a half hour after getting stopped out in profit. And then we're waiting on a few other things. So either way, join the community if you're not in it already. Otherwise, stay tuned for the 3-day traders reset that should be dropping soon. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Till next time.